when it struck midnight on New Year's, the first words I told myself was, I am so proud of you, Tina. So proud of you. And I cried. I bawled. I was like, oh my God, I'm ugly crying right now with myself, of course. And then and and I just kept giving myself affirmations, and every single word I felt fake. I felt fake because I'm not proud of myself. I don't believe in myself. I'm not important. I don't matter. Why am I saying all these things? And even saying, I love you, Tina, she felt disgusted. Like, why would you love me? Why would you love Tina? She is disgusting. And that's my inner child talking to me. So I just let her out. I let her out and talk and talk.
Welcome back to the You Need a Counselor podcast. This is a show presented by Heart and Solutions Counseling Agency. We release new episodes every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central and encourage you to batch up that laundry, put away the dishes, plan for the week ahead, or do any other task that might seem daunting while you give our show a listen. You might just be encouraged to call your therapist, connect with this week's guest, or seek out those services you've been considering for a while but haven't made the commitment to yet. If you are in the state of Iowa and are in need of mental or behavioral health counseling, give us a call at 1-800-531-4236. Enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome back to You Need a Counselor podcast. My name is Dr. Julie Johnson. I'm the president and founder here at Heart and Solutions Counseling Agency in Iowa.
And I'm Chrissa Hunt. I am one of our vice presidents in charge of our behavioral health department, where we work with children in home. And this is our podcast, You Need a Counselor. So we are designed for people curious about counseling but have barriers keeping them from experiencing the benefits of counseling. Our mission is to share stories about counseling, good, bad, and indifferent, and spread the message that everyone can benefit from mental health and behavioral health counseling services.
So our guest today joins us from San Diego. We've got Tina Hoang here today with us, and I'm so excited about this topic. I think this is going to be so great. Tina is a self-described recovering people pleaser. She's also a traveler, an adventurer, a podcaster. She is the host of the Courageous Inner Beast podcast. Love that name. Tina is dedicated to helping other women with people pleasing, helping them to advocate for themselves, to show courage in the face of fears, and to make decisions that really fit for who they are instead of staying in comfort zones to please other people. So we're very, very excited to have Tina here as a recovering people pleaser because, man, people pleasing is tough to battle. It is a constant, it goes down to like, what does my face look like at any given moment, right? It comes down to like, how much do I laugh and how do I dress? And just all of these things that at any given moment, we can be in a battle and not even notice that we're in a battle between pleasing ourselves and doing what feels right for ourselves and pleasing the person who is next to us or who might see something or just in our imagination might have a thought about something that we do. And so I'm so excited to dig into this topic. Welcome, Tina. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Julie. And also Krista too. It's amazing just to be in this platform right now and just talking about people pleasing and how honestly it's an uphill battle every single day. It's not even a linear thing. Once you're done, you're done. I finally started recovering from this 4 years ago, but I'm still having these days where one day I have to ask someone just next to me, say, hey, are you okay if I can sit here? Are you okay? Versus like, hey, I want to sit here. Is that okay? Or does that work for you? Because using the word okay versus does this work? I think that's also like, even when I'm working too, when there's a certain time that I want to meet with them, with a coworker or so forth, saying, is this okay? Versus, does this time work for you? I want to meet at 3 p.m. Does that work for you? Versus I want can we meet at 3 p.m.? Is that okay? There's that slight tinge of like you're giving the power to the other person to choose for you versus you're choosing the power for yourself and then giving the option for them is that if that works for them. And so
It's such a spectrum of I think that we tend to think of people pleasing as, okay, well, I'm making a decision. I'm either going to say, oh yeah, I can do that time that you want, where I can say like what works for you, or being able to say, okay, these are the times that I have available. Which one can you do? Right. And when we say, but there's a spectrum in between too.
yeah,
There's all of these shades of, right? Like, am I being nice enough when I set that time of, hey, I can do these times, right? Am I being inconsiderate when I say these are the times I have, right? Because I'm not offering to rearrange my schedule for that other person's convenience, right? So all of these thoughts that can come up, even with inviting a friend to coffee, right? That tendency of like, we should do coffee. When can you go? Versus we should do coffee. I've got Thursday at noon. I've got Friday evening. We could go to dinner, right? Which of these would work for you? Is such a subtle change, but such an important change in just the language that we're using. What are some of those other examples of those challenges there?
I think for me, another example of the challenge is when me and my friends are like pretty much the same thing. It's like we're in a group with friends and there's five of us, and all of us like, oh, what do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to do? And none of us can decide. We're all indecisive in that regard. And it's hard because already I'm not even thinking what I want, what I need. It's what do you guys want to eat? Do you guys want sushi? You guys want, and I'm not even deciding that. And I think it's also another challenge. Another challenge is I think that even right now, what I'm processing, I'm still processing like currently right now, what I'm processing is in this moment, I I'm failing. I'm processing that I failed to show up. I think that's what it is. Like show up for myself in this because I've catered to people for so long. And right now, I mean, in this moment, why I'm failing to show up for myself is because my dog, he's elder. He's 14 years old and he's dying. He's in terminal right now. He's hospice and he's in that stage where you're just waiting. You're waiting because and just making him feel comfortable. And my focus is all on him and how my place is right now. You can't see it, but it's it's a mess. And I'm failing myself to show up every single time because there's this thought. It means like I have to cater to him. Like, who cares what I need right now? He needs me more right now. And there's already that tug and battle of doing things that I need to do, doing things that makes me feel good and what makes brings me joy because he comes first. But at the same time, it's I can give myself a little break and do something that makes me, but then my brain is like, no, what are you doing? You're gonna be a bad mom. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this to him? Like, he needs you. And I'm like, but, and then so just that ongoing battle in my mind is like tugging, like you said earlier, like tugging back and forth of what needs to be done. But at the same time, I need to take care of myself, of making sure that I eat. And some days I don't eat because I'm just so focused on him, or even not even focused on him, but like distracting myself because of the amount of emotions in it, emotions that I'm sometimes want to avoid. And so yeah, that's like another example.
Oh, that's sad. We're dog people. Well, I am Julie's cat person. Oh, sad. So you mentioned it's been about 4 years that you've been on this like people pleasing recovering journey. How did you realize that you needed to work on this and that you were having an issue with people pleasing?
Well, so how it all started was at the time 4 years ago. I think it was 2019. It might have been 2019, the very end of 2019. I was at the time I was just dating someone, and it's randomly, not randomly, but at the end, they just told me, Tina, I think your passivity is unattractive. I don't like it. And when I heard that, I was like shocked because honestly, no one has ever told me that in to my face before. And so when that happened, I immediately went to my friends like, "Hey, am I passive? Hey, am I passive?" And every single one's like, "Yeah, you are." And I'm like, "Shoot, really?" And then and then after that, I started spiraling a little bit of like emotions because also I really like this person, and the fact that they said this, it changed the whole perspective of how I was as a person. And I was deciding, okay, I have two options here: believe them, believe that I am passive, and continue this path that I've always had, continue this path that this is where I'm meant to be. Also, like another caveat too, just I'll come back to it real quick. Even right now, there are moments where am I supposed to be passive for the rest of my life? There are moments in my life right now when situations come up and I'm thinking, maybe this is supposed to be. Maybe I'm supposed to be pleasing people for the rest of my life. But then, that's only like a 5-second thought. And then I was like, fuck that. No, that's not me. So I don't want to, that's not me at all. Um, Going back. So yeah, I had two options: was stay passive because that's I grew up with for the past half of my life already, or say, fuck it. No, this is not where I want to be anymore. This is not where I want to keep going because I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be needed, to be wanted, like to not deserve to be, but deserve that things I want and need matter, that things I want and need are important. And honestly, just me, I am important. I matter as a person. And so that was like a long journey of it. Even like, and the first thing I started thinking was, where is the root of this? So after the whole thing with the person I dated, I decided, okay, I'm not, I'm going to change. Not because he chose, but he gave me the wake up call for it. So I decided, yes, fuck this. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be assertive now because that's what I've been wanting for a long time. I think I need him to say that in order for me to give me that push because I've always knew that assertive was in my blood, that this is what I've been wanting to be and not just stay passive the whole time because like, it's so tiring to be pleasing other people all the time. And when you don't feel like it and then you do it anyways, you're putting yourself as a disservice on that. And so the first action that I did to decide, honestly, like was it was right before the first like actual action was like going to the root of it. But the first thing I did in that was deciding to say no to friends on New Year's Eve to hang out with them. I said no, and I decided to hang out. I went to a hill. I was in the Bay Area with family and stuff. So I went to like Berkeley Grizzly Peaks, and I just it was just me and my dog. We went there and we sat on like right before New Year's. We sat on a hill. We waited. We waited about 10 minutes or so before it was midnight, and I was scared. I was scared in my body of what's gonna happen next for the next year. And at the same time, I was excited for it because I'm gonna put in this work for myself. And when I was thinking about it and everything, I was like, what is it that I'm going to do next? I don't know what I'm going to do. So when it struck, midnight on New Year's, the first words I told myself was, I am so proud of you, Tina. So proud of you. And I cried. I bawled. I was like, oh my God, I'm ugly crying right now with myself, of course. And then and and I just kept giving myself affirmations, and every single word not I felt fake. I felt fake because I'm not proud of myself. I don't believe in myself. I'm not important. I don't matter. Why am I saying all these things? And even saying I love you, Tina, she felt disgusted. Like, why would you love me? Why would you love Tina? She is disgusting. And that's my inner child talking to me. So I just let her out. I let her out and talk for just feeling where she is now. And then, of course, my present self, with the education I had back on my career counseling, I comforted her. Like, I know it's scary. I know that you don't believe in this. And but we'll get this. We'll get through this. We'll definitely get through this. It's okay. I love you. I love you so much, Tina. I love you. And just, we're here. And we're here. And then there's more stories, but I don't know. I kind of went on with the question you asked Krista. So,
I love it. I'd love to hear more stories.
so once I was able to tell myself all this, I sat with it for the next 15, 20 minutes until everyone start leaving, because New Year's, it's like, okay, fireworks, okay, done. I'm gonna go down and go home. And I went home and I just slept. I don't remember what I did when I slept, but I knew it was the start of something, definitely, because I went home with a dog. So it's like, at least for me, I was like, I have my dog. So I love him. It's the same dog I have. So I also have two cats there too, Krista. I have two cats too. So, um, and then what did you call it? So we went home, and then so going back to it too is the root. So I decided, okay, in order for me to really achieve this, to really tackle my people pleasing, is to find the root of it. And for me, the root of it was family. And for me, it was my mom. My mom, like, we came for a broken family. So it's my mom's single mom. I lived with her for the majority of my life so far. And everything she does, like, I followed suit. And so when I finally was able to say, setting up for myself and putting boundaries and saying no to her, it was foreign for her. She didn't understand what's going on because she was used to what I do. But at the same time, I think there were a lot of pockets. There were a lot of pockets where I was trying to be myself, to be my own person. And my mom would always disregard, say, that's not gonna ligua, which means, why are you so stubborn? Why are you so stubborn? Like, just listen to me. Like, I'm your mom. I know what's best, and then, but there were already a lot of pockets where I was like, just stop it, mom. Stop it. I got this. Like, please let me do my thing. Even at this age, I still do it at this age now, because I guess the concept to my mom is still not there. And yeah, like, I think it's hard because I think I still seek her approval. Unfortunately, I still do, despite how she is right now and just accepting where she is. And it's just sad. And I mean, like, later on, I'll be doing a talk as well too. And and it's a letter to my mom, and I'm crying while I was practicing too. And it's hard because you just want to be there. You just want your mom to see you, to hear you, but she can't. And that's where there was only a fine line where I could continue. I still am, saying what I need, saying what I want, but still fighting with her even to this day. So I know there's only a certain amount of energy that I can put in before I have to, like, detract and go for like look for other people who I'm also working with to see if they're going to be in the same situation, or they're also understanding like, okay, Tina's changing, let's work with that. And so it's really hard to feel, especially when it comes from your family, that whom you love so much, who took care of you, the caregivers. And like that's kind of like the first start of it, when I with the people pleasing. And then once after that, I found other people who are more rooted, who were influenced, who I was easily influenced. And so I went to them too and try to work with it. And then in my internal work, I did I did use the warm line. The warm line is pretty much where it's not the suicide line. It's where you're almost boiling, when you're also like when you're so the yeah, so when you're almost boiling but not yet, you're just feeling a little cozy, but you still want to let out your feelings, your troubles. So someone's there to just talk with you for a little bit, talk to you about like what your hard day was, your hard time is currently, but not to the point of like, oh my gosh, it's like so intense that you need to call the suicide line. And so I've used that resource even till now. And I love that I found it, because I use it all the time to just talk to people, and also at the same time, journaling. Journaling was also an outlet for me to really dig deep into where I want to be. And I saw my glow up from there. I saw my glow up of like, wow, Tina, like you're really, and I'm like just, so into that. And so I really like that too. So the fact that I used those two, I think it helped. It helped definitely. And one of the warm line counselors, she I remember her name. Her name was Kim, but I don't know her last name. But she was the one person. I mean, it changes. Like people, leave the job and come back. Like they leave the job and new people come in. But during that time, it was important for me. It was pivotal. It was so essential, because even though warm line counselors aren't supposed to like push you, they're supposed to just be there and listen with you. She pushed me, and I love that about her. She was challenging my thinking process, of course, in a healthy way, in a counselor sense. I love that. And also she pushed me to become a speaker too, because I've been wanting to be a speaker for so long. And then she was like, hey, I understand, like, what do you think about this? Like, this isn't a resource like you could use. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, that would be great. And now I'm in this space where I'm talking now, and she was the one person that gave me that space to pursue what I want and get out of the people pleasing too, because this is what I've been wanting to do. This is my need. This is my want. And so she was one of the first people that pushed me there.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, there's the struggle with people pleasing, in a clinical sense, we call it codependence. And it when we start to have those boundaries with the people around us and we start to be assertive, we can get all of that negative feedback that can just make it even more scary to push on and to continue going forward. And when somebody is used to our codependence, when somebody benefits from our codependence, then when we start to be assertive and we start to express our individual needs and desires and requirements for the relationship, then all kinds of words come out, right? So stubborn is such a great example. You're being stubborn, or you're being inconsiderate, you're being selfish, right? You're being, you don't love me anymore, you don't care about me. These are all things that can be so hurtful to hear, because when we have these codependent tendencies, we get a payoff from them. The payoff in childhood from these codependent behaviors, from putting our own needs down and elevating the needs of others, the payoff we get as a child is food. and shelter and an adult that takes care of us. And so the payoff that we get is very important as a child. And so every time we do it and we please a parent, and we push down our own needs and desires, then we get rewarded with something that we need. And so then as a grown-up, I love your dialogue between your adult self and your inner child, because our inner child is used to seeing these codependent behaviors as necessary for survival. If I am 6 and I am assertive to my parent, there's a chance I might not be able to survive. When you're 6, you literally cannot survive on your own in the wild, and you need an adult to feed you and give you shelter. And so that survival instinct, the things that we do to literally stay alive, gets so ingrained in us and gets so tied to those codependent behaviors and ways of thinking. And so as a child, the grooves in our brain start, those neural pathways begin to form, and they get cemented in there of, okay, if you want to survive, you do these things. If you want to survive, you don't say that you want to have grilled cheese for dinner, right? You eat whatever is being served. If you want to survive, you don't say, I need privacy. You don't say that, because your parent is the one that is going to give you survival. And so whatever they want to have happen is what you need to adjust to. And so I love your conversation there, because as an adult now, we no longer need those codependent ways of thinking or those codependent behaviors in order to survive. Our parents might not like the things that we are doing. Our parents might not like our choices, but when we are adults, we are able to say that, and we are able to say, I need to be treated with respect. I need you to respect my choices. I need you to respect my boundaries. And our survival is actually not in jeopardy when we say those things. But because it's the same person and that's that same relationship, it is so much harder to separate that survival instinct out of those behaviors. So codependence, I'll just read kind of what the description, this is from CODA, this is from Codependence Anonymous. And so when you say you're recovering, I'm like, absolutely. So CODA, the description of what is codependence on CODA says, somewhere along the line, we learned to doubt our perception, discount our feelings, and overlook our needs. We looked to others to tell us what to think, feel, and behave. Other people supplied us with information about who we were and should be. It became more important to be compliant or avoidant rather than to be authentic. And we adopted rigid beliefs about what we should be. We believed that if we could just get it right, things would be okay. When we got it wrong, our sense of security and self-worth evaporated. And CODA is a support group to help people to help us overcome those codependent behaviors. And so I love what you're talking about, the warm line, and having those supports there, because that really is what it is. It's about somebody coming alongside us and saying, no, you have value, not in relation to what you can provide to somebody else, but in relation to who you are as a person, and your opinion of the color purple, right? Or your opinion of whether you like coffee or not, is not dependent on somebody else and their opinion of who you are or of what you should like. And I think that is so important. I love that you're sharing that warm line story as well. What are some of those other challenges that you're seeing with people pleasing on a day-to-day basis? I love these examples.
And so another example would be I go to therapy too, so it's been like over 10 years or so. So even as a counselor myself and went to grad school for it, I need therapy. And so currently I recently learned, like, so yes, I'm definitely experiencing codependency. And also I realized well, through therapy is that my family dynamic is very enmeshed. And so when by enmeshed, like everyone, each of us. So it's like me, my mom, and my brothers, like three of us, we're very enmeshed with each other. And we don't like I think each of us kind of don't think for ourselves as much as if we're as a unit. And it's hard. And enmeshment is kind of I don't know the actual definition of enmeshment, but example of why we're so enmeshed is because at least for me, I pick up people's feelings, behaviors, emotions so easily. I not even if it's not about me, I just start thinking it's like it's like they just sighed. Oh, they just walk differently or they just eat differently. It's like, why is that? But also like that's putting so much energy into assuming, making speculations of what not even within my family, but everyone around me, my friends, my family. It's like what just always thinking and observing the behaviors, the thoughts of am I responsible for this? Am I the cause of why they're angry? Yeah, am I the cause of why they're sad right now? Or maybe if they're anxious, it's barely anything. It's like, oh, did I make them feel happy? Oh, did I make them feel joy? Not that thought doesn't come through as often. And so the fact that I'm always thinking of like angry, sad, anxious, like it must be my fault. I need to make sure like so that's also like being responsible for other people's feelings. So that's where I struggle with too. Even today, I I try to tell myself, but it's the inner self that my inner child is coming out every so often. Well, not even every so often, but when I see her come out, I was like, oh shoot, she is out and about right now. And like I am having a hard time bringing her back. It's just like, I was like, come back, come back. Cause it's like I think recently I like this week, like earlier this week, I was talking with my brother. I was sharing things with him and he was sharing things with me. Initially, I was able to stand my ground and just listen to him and understand him. But then eventually she started coming out, as in like defensiveness started coming out. I started getting defensive. I was like, damn it. And I catch myself every time I get defensive. I was like, oh no, that's not I'm not I'm here to listen. I'm only here to listen and just understand you and hear your thoughts and feelings because I'm here because I just want to have this conversation with him. But I saw her coming out, felt it. And when it comes out, I was like, oh sorry, sorry. I mean, I didn't mean to like I didn't mean to be defensive. I didn't mean to. And she just keeps coming out and eventually like the conversation just like it just kind of was done. But she kept going out and I'm just like, okay, it's I see you. I see that you're trying to soothe the conversation and also just angry. Like, why like I did. And I'm like, it's so just like another example of it of seeing myself in that situation of like face value, real time that she's coming out, she's trying to defend herself. But at the same time, my present self telling her, like, you're okay. This is where it is right now. It's you weren't, and this is where the failing to show up comes in because growing up too, I didn't really show up to my younger brother. Because one, I have a disability. So it's like it's very minor. You can't tell, even on screen, you can't tell as much unless I move my hand and stuff. But half of my body from head to toe, my right side is affected. And so where just like my motor skills isn't the greatest, certain things I can't do. And already the responsibility was on my brother to take care of me, which it was so unfair that he should not have given that responsibility. But as a kid, like you said, survival. So okay, I guess this is what I need to do to take care of my older sister because yeah, she has a disability. She needs to be taken care of. As a kid, you listen. You don't know better. You're like, okay, Parents said so, okay. Mom said so, okay. I just do what it is. And coming back with that, so that's why I feel this really strong urgency to please my brother, despite knowing that I failed him and failed to show up for him. And that's where I'm still struggling with that. It's just that part of me telling myself that it's okay. Like, yeah, I did it. I didn't do so well growing up, but I'm here. And I think this kind of it still ties in with the pleasing other people, because now that because I became a certain way with my brother too growing up, where he will like me even though he's the one that took care of me. Like, I still wanted to make sure that he likes me and love me as a person too. So I acted a certain way most of the time, not all the time, but because my authentic self comes out sometimes, and it just like, oh, people are like weirded out or whatever because they don't know how to respond to it. But mainly it was like just pleasing him the whole time. And so that kind of just ties into, you know, working on myself now, owning up the responsibility that, yeah, I fucked up. I didn't do so well growing up, but hey, it's okay. It's not, it's like, I still like, and that's the pleasing part. Is like, well, Tina, you don't matter. You need to continue doing this. Why would you want to do this? Like, don't be better. This is not your role to be better. This is where you're always going to be at. This is my inner child talking. And I'm just like, okay, I see you. I mean, sarcastically, I see you. I see you. I understand, and let them just let it out, let her out a little bit, and just let her feel the comfort of it. But once she goes out, like says all the things, and it's like, okay, come back, sit. I'm here. I know. I think that's for me too. Like, as a person, I can't. Things cannot stay in my brain. Like, everything has to be let out. It has to be out. If I don't let it, I'm just my body just wants to explode, be like, come on, and so that's why I let her talk, let her, like, myself talk all everything that I'm feeling. And that's why the warm line is so amazing. That's why therapy is so amazing, because I need to let her out in order to actually recover and heal, and you know then so that when my present self, with the knowledge I have, with the education I have, I can come back and be with her and on this journey of healing of it. And so, yeah, it's a lot of inner work for myself, and so much.
Yeah. What are some ways that you have learned to like enforce boundaries with your parents or your friends or your brother, like you were saying? So what are some things that you've been practicing trying to do to kind of help enforce those boundaries?
Yeah, so the first thing I did was saying no to them, which was very weird because they're not used to it. It's not even saying no, but saying no and then explaining, like, no, I don't want to do it. But I mean, the things that I've been doing, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. But in their mind, it's like, it's what's it? There's a word for it where, like, selfish, or even defiant. There you go. The word is like, you're so defiant. Like, well, they didn't use the word defiant, but how my friends, well, at least this is pertaining to my family right now, it's like my behavior is defiant. Like, they didn't say it, like I said, but it's like, oh no, I don't want to. Simple. That's it. And like already is like, they're like looking at me, it's like, what? I don't want to. And then when they ask why, it's like, because I don't want to. And because maybe that is a continuation of defiant, because I don't want to explain it to them. Because literally I don't want to. But then I guess it's hard for them to understand because they want to know the reason why. But then I think I also understood that, or at least in my interpretation, like, my reason won't be enough. I felt like it won't be enough, even if I were to explain it, unless it fills their requirement of what is enough. And so And that's what within my family. It still is a work in progress right now. It's still, I just want to be in a place with them where we can just cohabitably, I don't know how to word, cohabitably like, get along as a family. And regarding with friends, it was easier. When I said no, they got a little weirded off, but then they accepted it. And then seeing that I'm changing as a person. And so they appreciated that. And so, like saying no, or just changing the language, changing the language of how I speak for myself. Like in the very beginning of our episode, we were talking about changing, asking everyone, where you guys want to go eat? Do you want to go eat ice cream? And if someone asks me back then, what I want to eat for, what do you want to eat for dinner? I would respond the same question back. What do you want to eat for dinner? You know? So now me putting up the boundaries of myself for myself is when someone asks me, what do you want for dinner? I would say, well, I'm craving for Mexican food, Asian food, Korean food, Vietnamese food, whatever, or um Thai food, maybe. I don't know. And they're like, okay. And so that we work together also with that. And then saying, okay, so let's go get dinner. I'm free on this Thursday at 4 p.m. or 7 p.m. for dinner. And does that work for you? And so that's like changing the language for me of putting the boundaries for myself, that I'm not put the pressure on the decision on the other person. And I think just saying no and standing up for myself, when I mean, like with my friends, like no one's really getting mad at me. It's just like with my friends specifically, it's a battle within myself to decide what I want to do, what I decide, or what I want. And they're like, okay, that's fine. We could do that. Versus like feeling bad and guilty that I decided, that's what if they want to go eat American food, that they want to eat pasta instead, or maybe Thai food, even though I want Mexican food. Just like guilt, that guilty feeling of like, oh, I should have done what they wanted to do. So like it's so regarding boundaries is boundaries within myself of like I can choose to do what I want. I don't have to abide to other people. And so yeah, so but the boundaries part is definitely within my family of for them, specifically my mom, especially my mom, actually. It's like the whole boundaries is very hard with her. But the boundaries with myself is with my friends and everyone else around me. So yeah, it's
Ah,
boundaries is a whole thing.
it's challenging to build trust in especially new relationships and to kind of assess when this person asks me, what do I feel like eating for dinner? Are they actually asking me that question? And for your friends, it sounds like they are. They're asking you, like, hey, where do you want to go? Because they legitimately, genuinely want to know, like, where you want to go. They're asking the question, and it's a real question. It takes time and it takes experience with doing that multiple times with a person to know, does this person actually mean where do you want to go? Or are they asking out of politeness and ceremony when really they know where they want to go, and they think that you, because of past experience, they believe that you will say, oh no, uh, where do you want to go? And it's the last cookie on the plate scenario, right? There's a group of people and there's one cookie left on the plate, and somebody says, oh, you have that cookie. Are they genuinely saying, I don't want that cookie, you have that? Or is there some kind of expectation that I say that and then you're supposed to say back, no, you have it, so then I can get what I want, right? And it takes that that building of that relationship and the building of the trust to be able to answer authentically when somebody is genuinely asking, do you want this last one? So my husband, for example, if he says, do you want this last cookie on the table? If I want it, I'm going to say yeah, and I'm going to take it, right? Because I know that he's genuinely asking me, right, if I want it. Because if he wanted it, he would just take it, right? Or if he wanted it, or if he wanted some more cookie, he would say, like, do you want to split that with me? Or, hey, I'm going to eat that cookie. Did you want some of it? Right. And so I can trust that he is going to set those, that he's going to put his needs, right, out there when he has them. And he's not going to like passive aggressively do that. I think that there's nothing wrong with being with somebody who is genuinely passive. It doesn't sound like you, in terms of who you are, that you're a genuinely passive person, right? It sounds like you are an assertive person who had a lot of passive tendencies because of the way that you grew up. And so, but there are certain people who are genuinely just passive people. And it's enough for them to say, my mother-in-law is one of them. It's enough for her to say, I want to have dinner as a family. Like, I literally don't care what we eat. What my desire is that we all be together, right? And it's hard when you hear that and you're like, are you real though? Are you for serious, right? And it takes those amounts of time of saying, well, then, yeah, I want to eat this. And having them go, yeah, okay, because they've expressed that desire and it's a genuine desire, to be able to trust that, right, with another person. And sometimes we have those experiences and we learn from that experience, oh no, you're not actually asking me right, where I want to go or what I want to do. And in those situations, it is so much more difficult to do that. But when we set that boundary for ourselves and we say, okay, it doesn't matter if that person is genuinely asking me. It doesn't matter if they're not genuinely asking me. I'm going to give that response that expresses what I want to do and how I feel about the situation, regardless. And what they do with that, whether they were genuinely asking or not, I'm going to treat it like they are genuinely asking. And if they weren't, and then that asking backfires on them, like, that's kind of their problem, right? They asked me, and I gave them an answer, right? So I love the kind of the imagery that was coming up when you were talking about your inner child coming out and like doing things, and then having to, as your adult having to be like, oh no, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to, right? And having to kind of, and it brought this imagery, I love it, of the Ninja Turtles. There was a bad guy who was like a brain, Craig, right? He was a brain inside a body. And he controlled that body with remote controls. And I had this imagery of that kind of situation, right? We're all a brain operating a body. And having that child, if I'm operating this body, having my inner child kind of next to me, and my inner child going, go this way, say this, do this, right? And I can absolutely, if my daughter's in the car and we're driving somewhere and my daughter's like, take a left, right? And I'm like, no, that's not the way to go, right? But I can absolutely hear that inner child. I can let them say exactly what they need to say to me. I can have them warn me, right? Don't say no to them. You won't survive, right? Don't say no to them. They'll be angry with you. Don't say no to them. They'll involve your other family members and it'll be a whole thing, right? So that inner child sometimes just screaming at us. And then as the adult, being able to say, I do hear that. I hear that. And I thank you for trying to protect me. But I can handle what happens, right? I can handle that. I have belief in myself, in my adult self, to know that if that happens, if I say no and they're upset, it is okay. And I will survive that. And I'm not going to die, right? My survival isn't tied to that. And my adult self knows that, and my child self doesn't. And so I can absolutely hear my child self and listen to every good reason they have and validate that, like, yeah, from a 6-year-old's perspective, that's totally a valid thing to do, right? But from my perspective as an adult, I'm going to make this other choice. And so then the body moves, right? Pivots and does the thing that that our adult self would have us do to meet our own needs. So I just love all of those examples so much. So Tina, if you could give one suggestion to somebody who might be on the fence about starting counseling for some of these challenges that they might be having, what suggestion might you give?
Starting small. Like it's like starting talking to the warm line. It's at least here in California. Like, I mean, they have it nationwide. I'm not too sure about the other countries, but the US they have individual ones for each state, and some are nationwide. But at least for here in California, the one I call, you have it up to 15 minutes. If you feel a little uncomfortable, just let it out a little bit. I think, yeah. So if any advice to start counseling, it's just to start small and not to let it build up like I did. I was like, I need it, I need it, I need to go therapy. I need to go through, I need to let this out, and it's so beneficial. It's disregarding like however society is. It's like, oh, that strong stigma. Fuck that shit. I don't, it's like we need to go, like all of us need to go. And but to really, when you're feeling scared and feeling, if for example, for me, I was feeling that would be judged is valid, and at the same time, just start small and start small of doing things that would really alleviate you. And I think using the warm line is a great resource. So you don't like, and it's free. So you don't have to worry about like paying if you're also financially, stuck too. You don't have to pay. It's just calling and then you're talking for however long their requirements are. And so, yeah, we'll just like start small.
Wonderful. Love that. So, if you are interested in listening to The Courageous Inner Beast, you can go search that on social media, search that, and look that up on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, because The Courageous Inner Beast, love that. Love that title. So empowering, even for a listener to be listening to the Courageous Inner Beast podcast. You can also find Tina on Instagram at Tina Hoang, Hoang. And you can also find her on Facebook there as well. And then you can find her website at Tina Hoang, Hoang.com to connect with Tina. So Tina, thank you so much for being here. This has been wonderful. I'd love to have you on for another episode. I feel like we could have talked for another 5 hours about this topic. So wonderful experience that you're sharing with the world. So glad that you are out there doing it. And we just really, really appreciate you.
I'm Tina Hoang, and I need a counselor. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Julie and Chrissa, for just having me here. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank
Wonderful.
you. I'm Chrissa Hunt.
And I'm Julie Johnson, and we need a counselor.
So do you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the You Need a Counselor podcast. We are so grateful that you're here. Now, we want to hear from you. Text us or give us a call at 515-650-3231. You can also find and connect with You Need a Counselor on Facebook and Instagram. If you've enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to like, review, or leave a comment, as all of these things help others to find and benefit from the podcast as well. If you're in the state of Iowa and interested in mental health counseling or behavioral health intervention services, give us a call at 800-531-4236. And if you're a provider seeking play therapy CEUs, you can find us on patreon.com/youneedatraining. We'll see you for the next episode, Sunday at 5.